I think in that second half, just decision making went out of the window as well. It's like, if you're going to play on the break, actually break.
I'm not saying Foden is better than any of them. That is ridiculous. But what I'm saying is that I don't think he'd look out of place playing alongside Xavi and Busquets. Hello and welcome back to Monday Vibes, everybody. We're here to discuss the latest results and talking points from across the world of football. I'm back from my 3-week-long hiatus or so.
Yeah,
I'm joined by Mike and the Cubs. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Diggs. But how was it? How was can we say where you were on
Absolutely.
on holiday now?
Because
it wasn't a secret, but like just in case there are any Football Day fans who want to track you down there, be weird. Philippines, wasn't it? Yeah, how was it?
The Philippines. There was one guy in the Philippines that got in contact.
Really?
Actually. But I was saying actually beforehand, it was an amazing place. But football-wise, just not a lot of football culture there, really. It's really a basketball place, but as a destination to go on honeymoon, it was pretty epic. The people were among the nicest people I've ever met. The food was great, the weather was awesome, and scenery like I've never really seen as well. It was just spectacular. I had an amazing time. We both did a lot of surfing, a little bit of island hopping. What else was going on? Just a lot of beach time, really. It was just epic. And then the wedding was really good fun as well.
Yeah,
a married man feels very grown up. Really.
You are very grown up now.
Do you still feel like a teenager inside your head? I'm nearly 30, and I'm like, I just still feel like a teenager.
You're definitely not a teenager.
No,
mate. You're definitely not.
Never seen a bald teenager.
I'm trying to think, but bald teenagers. No, haven't really. I don't. But I still feel, I definitely don't feel like a married man. That's for sure. So you're more of a man than me in that sense. But good to have you back, Dukes. Good to have you back. We have had a kind of an assortment of different characters on the channel.
Sam Rennie
made his debut last week. People were a fan, I think.
Good.
Aside from him being a Chelsea fan, I don't think you can be a Chelsea fan and really get away with it on this channel, sadly. But James Wayne made a bit of a comeback in a few episodes as well. It's been nice to have people muck in and everything. But great to have you back, Dukes.
Thank you.
Channel's not the same without you. Should we get on with the episode though?
Let's do it.
Because I am just like putting off the pain of talking about yesterday's result in the Manchester derby. But we have to kind of go there first, don't we, Dukes? Do you want to round it up, or shall I just go on a rant? I'm not going to go on that big a rant.
Why don't I just briefly set the scene and then you get into it? Because as I said, I travelled for like 24 hours yesterday. I haven't watched a lot of football in the last 3 weeks as well, because it's on crazy times.
Too right.
But also, there's so much stuff that happened as well. Yeah. I left and Roy Hodgson was still Crystal Palace manager. Yeah. Tuchel was not. They were about a point off by Leverkusen. It just feels like so much stuff happened, but yet the title race is better than ever.
Critchley curse hit in a different kind of way.
Yeah, Michael Beale was Sunderland manager as well.
Yeah.
It's so
didn't Michael Beale get sacked on the morning of that you were leaving for your honeymoon or something?
Yes, I think so. Yeah. No, it was there was so much drama going on left, right, centre. But anyway, let's talk about the title race, and specifically Man City, because they are marching on. They maintain pace with Liverpool with a pretty comfortable 3-1 win at the Etihad against Man United. Goals from Phil Foden, who was the star of the show. Erling Haaland, of course, in response to Rashford's 8th-minute screamer. What a goal
that was, man.
Also, great hold-up play from Bruno Fernandes.
Brilliant hold-up play from Bruno Fernandes.
Were you thinking, hello?
I was thinking, actually, oh no, because every time Marcus Rashford scores a banger in a big game, we end up losing it for some reason. Thinking the last two Arsenal games.
But it wasn't long before City sort of started asserting their dominance.
Yeah, and I mean, I think this is the thing. It was. I actually really liked Man United's first half performance in general. Like, you're never going to go to the Etihad these days and be able to really take the game to City. You have to play on the break, and United have players who are able to do that. Particular Rashford and Garnacho. Even someone like Kobbie Mainoo has the kind of technical ability to kind of play in transition quite well like that as well. So given that it was an understrength side, obviously United have been playing with a bit of an understrength side recently. Hoyland being out, Luke Shaw being out, Lissandro being out as well. I mean, Harry Maguire being out here, Johnny Evans having to start alongside Rafael Varane. United were never going to be able to really assert dominance in any way in this game. And at least, in the first half, United were kind of riding their luck. very, good organisation at the back, a good mid to deep block. But even then, Erling Haaland misses, an inexplicable open goal. United rode their luck. I think it was something like 2.7 XG to City at half time. So United were riding their luck, but at least the game plan was there, and at least United looked effective on the counter-attack. Like Marcus Rashford, if he's more on song, probably gets 2 goals in that first half.
It's quite a weak touch when he was sort of through, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think Carl Walker kind of had his number. I
thought people made I thought Ten Hag made a big song and dance about that. I don't think there's enough contact for it to be a foul.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think so. Definitely not. But I think it was indicative of where Rashford was in that game, in that whenever there was any pressure, particularly from Carl Walker, he did just wilt. And there's a reason why Marcus Rashford goes down there. It's because he knows he's not going to be able to. He knows he's going to get beaten. He knows that that's his best chance of getting anything from that situation, is to take a tumble, because Walker's going to clean up there. And whereas in the first half, I think Rashford looked a lot more comfortable, dangerous on the break, because United were actually winning the ball, not too deep inside their first half. Casemiro and Mainu were actually winning it not too far from the halfway line, where you've actually got a bit of an advantage. Whereas when Rashford goes down, he takes that tumble under pressure from Kyle Walker. He actually won possession next to the corner flag, just I guess 30 seconds earlier or whatever, and then has to sprint all the way from the United goal to there to create that break. I just think he was kind of out of puff, to be honest. I just don't think, by that point, United were exhausted in the second half, and I think that was the problem, is that United were just so willing to let City have the ball, so willing to just be, completely exhausted by City's press and exhausted by City's play on the ball, that by 65 minutes, United were pretty done. Johnny Evans has to come off for Camboala, with the game still at 1-1, I believe. That's not great, and the defence having to shift in that sense, and Dalot going to left back, Camboala going to right back, and equally still don't really understand Lindelof playing at left back. It's happened quite a few times over the last month. Don't really get that from Ten Hag's perspective.
Who would you play there instead? Because isn't
I would probably play Dalot at left back and then have Lindelof at right back. It just feels more natural. And I think I would say the one thing in the second half from United, but we'll get on to City in a second, because obviously they were great. But I think in that second half, just decision making went out of the window as well. It's if you're going to play on the break, actually break. Don't win possession for the first time in 7-8 minutes, and then have Garnacho making a run on the right, but don't pass to him. Actually recycle possession, pass it back to Onana, and then eventually have the be pressed so much that you're just going to put the ball out of play, as happened in on a couple of occasions in that second half. It was really frustrating in that sense, because it's teams with far fewer top-class players than Man United go to the Etihad and actually give City a bit of a game, and United just didn't after the first half, and there was opportunities to do so. City defensively have been quite bad in the last 2 months.
Barely any clean sheets at all.
Yeah, and John Stones was playing in this game, and that makes a massive difference. They did have their best backline out there, but they can be got at, and I think United missed an opportunity there, to be honest. Having said that, City clearly deserved to win the game. Phil Foden just absolutely brilliant. It was telling that it was an absolute screamer from him that got them back into the game, but nevertheless, 11 goals now and 4 assists in his last 14 games in all comps. Just brilliant. A 95% pass accuracy. Given that he was operating the final third, yes, United were stepping off a lot, but 9 shots on the day. It's hard not to think that. I think he probably has been City's key player this year. And there was a lot of chat.
Called him the best player in the league.
Well, I mean, he's certainly up there, isn't he? Up there with Salah, up there with Haaland, up there with, I guess, Ollie Watkins, up there with Bukayo Saka.
Declan Rice has had a great year.
Declan Rice. But And it's, obviously interesting that, at the start of the year, there was a lot of chat about Phil Foden, not being the main man at City or whatnot. And he has stepped up.
That did go through the FD WhatsApp group.
It did. I think it was a bit of a thing in general. I remember football Twitter being a bit like, Phil Foden needs to become this guy. And he kind of has. And in a year where De Bruyne has been out injured, and even with De Bruyne back, like Phil Foden is more the one making things happen in this side. I
think it was when they were close to signing Lucas Paqueta. People were like,
yeah.
Well, why aren't they just backing Foden?
That was it.
And then actually they ended up signing Matheus Nunes, who obviously plays a bit deeper than Paqueta would have probably. You could see the argument, but at the same time, Phil Foden's just in the perfect position right now. Guardiola did ease him into this side for a number of years, really. I mean, people were complaining when he wasn't a regular at 20 because of his talent.
Yeah.
And you could see what he was going to become, but he's now just fully evolved into this all-conquering sort of attacking midfielder, super versatile, can play on the left, can play on the right, can play as a false 9 as well at City. And I don't want to go over the top, but there's very few players that basically the best midfield of this century. I always think is Busquets, Iniesta, Xavi. I'm not saying Foden is better than any of them. That is ridiculous. But what I'm saying is that I don't think he'd look out of place playing alongside Xavi and Busquets. Like, there is something quite Iniesta about the way that Foden collects, goes off the back foot, the way he, has his body so open to pass either side. Like, there is some similarities there. And, if he can have half the career that Iniesta had, he's going to be in great.
I mean, he's a much better goal scorer than Iniesta. Better goal scorer.
This is true. But then he's also played further forward than Iniesta has a lot as well. So, yeah, all I'm just saying is he is that sort of, he looks like someone that has been brought through by La Masia. In that peak La Masia period, just how comfortable he is on the ball.
Yeah, and I think he's a product of Man City's academy evolving to be more like La Masia as well. He really is the kind of shining star of that era of the City academy, and one of the few who's actually made it in this side, has kind of shone a light for someone like Rico Lewis, who we expect to similarly explode in the next couple of years as well, right?
Yeah. And the thing that people always used to say was, he doesn't play enough. He started 25 league games this year. That's his most ever. There's still 11 games to go this season. He's played more games for City this season than any other City player, ahead of Alvarez. So he is now, as you do say, De Bruyne has been out, but he is kind of the main man this year. He has been absolutely exceptional. And I think, people love to compare him to Saka. I'm going to sound like Rio Ferdinand now. Like, let's just enjoy them both. They're both exceptional. And I think if we can find a way to get Saka, Bellingham and Foden to the same England lineup and create a bit of balance in there as well, England have to be considered second favourites for the Euros.
I think it's possible. It seems like a no-brainer at this moment in time, doesn't it?
Play him off the left.
Play him in the hole. Play him on the left. Right. It seems like a no-brainer. Like, this time 18 months ago, I probably would have still pipped for Sterling just because of his England record, but you can't argue with the kind of form that Foden's in right now. Yeah. That Man City midfield is just scary, isn't it? When you see like Rodri, De Bruyne and Bernardo starting, it's like you just don't really have much hope. And then you've got Foden who's able to kind of drop in there as well and dictate play.
Doku with some useful moments.
Doku was decent. I guess like Haaland, quite a game by his standards, but then Amrabat makes that mistake and he gets a goal as well. I think that was maybe one frustrating thing, is that Onana probably could do better for Foden second. Amrabat shouldn't be losing the ball there.
Match of the Day actually focused a lot on Casemiro for Foden second, which I thought was a bit harsh. Yeah. It was great play from Foden. And they also focused on Mainu not closing down Foden for the first. I just think sometimes you've got to say that's just great City play and great individualism from Foden. Yeah, no, for sure. But I think Casemiro was... the drop-off from Casemiro and Mainu from the first half to the second half was palpable. I do think that partnership has begun to get a little bit leggy, a little bit found out in the last week or two. They were, great, and you can't put too much pressure on an 18-year-old Kobbie Mainu. Like, it was inevitable that there were going to be games where he would not be able to influence as much. Would get dominated a little bit more. And that there is, the Man United midfield is still limited in that sense. And I expect United to go out and sign a central midfielder in the summer. Where are you at with United then? Because I mean, I've got it down here. You're now 11 points behind Villa. You're 6 points behind Spurs with 11 games to go. So even fifth, the unlikely fifth spot, which England aren't currently guaranteed that extra Champions League spot at the moment. I think is it Germany and Italy? I think. But either way, that will probably change. As teams progress further in the Europa League. But it feels like it's done now on the table, as if it hadn't been done months before.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, Spurs are in good form at the moment, but like, I think 6 points off fifth with 2 months of the season remaining, it is surmountable. The problem is that United's form, especially without Højlund in the side, and Luke Shaw in the side, you just can't rely on it really at all. So I would still I think United still have a shot, but who is more likely to drop off in the next couple of months out of Spurs and United? Probably still United.
Absolutely.
That's not to say that Spurs can't, but I think it feels unlikely at this moment in time. Villa obviously got another big win on the weekend as well. It does feel like it's between Villa and Spurs for that fourth spot.
Couldn't agree more.
At this moment in time.
Should we move on to Liverpool?
Let's do it. Yeah, Liverpool 1, Forest 0. Obviously, the title race absolutely on. Arsenal, of course, playing tonight against Sheffield United. We expect them to win, don't we?
Especially with the amount of goals they've been scoring.
And keep that gap in. And it is mad, isn't it? Like, Liverpool and Arsenal both on the same goal difference. Liverpool now edging City and Arsenal for goals scored. But it is just that this really could, with 11 games to go now, this could be
a final dayer.
Yeah, it could be a final dayer, and it could be the best title race we've seen.
Well, yeah, I was going to make that point.
2013-14 was the last genuine 3-horse race, wasn't it? And even that one, Chelsea kind of dropped out around the end of March. And then City kind of...
Mourinho still had his moment, though, with that 2-0 Anfield.
Oh, he did still have that moment with the Gerrard slip and everything. And then Liverpool kind of lost it before the final day. But nevertheless, that was a great title race. But we haven't really seen a 3-horse race since then.
Nope.
I'm trying to think when we had a 3-horse race before that season as well. It's very, very rare. But anyway, I'll digress, Dukes. Liverpool, what do you make of this game? Because there were chances for both sides. Liverpool maybe a tad fortunate to get the opportunity they did right at the death. But once again, this Liverpool team, an under-strength Liverpool team, they had... what's his name? Bobby Clark starting in midfield in this game. Jadon Danns came on once again. They found a way.
Yeah, they did find a way. I think you can actually make quite a comprehensive and well-argued argument for anyone to win the title right now.
Yeah.
And I think Liverpool's right now is just their belief, really, their mentality. And I think it's been there all season. The injuries that they've had to key players. And, people point at De Bruyne and Haaland, but other than that, most of their best players have kind of been pretty fit for most of this year. Actually, maybe I'll take that back because Stones has missed a number of games as well. Arsenal being the goal-scoring form that they found, they're a serious threat as well. But
they've got a pretty clean slate of health as well.
Absolutely, Arsenal, yeah. And I feel like there's going to be a boring narrative of someone bottling it, whereas it just doesn't feel like a year where anyone's going to bottle it. It's just going to be won by who can ever hold their nerve the most. And, City have gone on this incredible run since losing against Aston Villa. But Liverpool, with the injuries they've had, to pick up a trophy in that point as well, I think it's really, really impressive. And a key member of this run was Diogo Jota, and then he picked up a few injuries, but then, has been back a bit more recently. But Darwin Nunez as well, given the stick he took last year, even in this game, they're calling him just some SAHIT, Andy Carroll, and then he pops up with the winner.
Who was calling him that?
The Forest fans.
Yeah.
Right, and obviously, that's just part and parcel of playing away from home. You get that sort of abuse, and it's how you sort of respond to it. But the abuse that he took on social media, the criticism he's had throughout his time in England, and to pop up with this year already over 10 goals, 10 assists as well, hit the post a number of times, and it's just been central to Liverpool's threat in pretty much every game he's played. I thought was really, really impressive. But also, shout out Kelleher at the other end as well. I think, when Alisson gets injured, you're like, that's going to be difficult for Liverpool to win the league, especially because last year, Liverpool had a difficult year last year, but it would have been even worse without Alisson. They wouldn't have been in title races as consistently as they have been without Alisson in the last few years. So for Kelleher to come in, massive performance in the Carabao Cup final, and then a huge save from Elanga in this game as well. I think Liverpool are a super, super impressive outfit, and they've got that reason, they've got that belief in Klopp, and Klopp's leaving for them to go on and do something pretty special, and I just wouldn't count them out of it. I think they could easily win all 4.
Yeah, I think if this is the form that they're showing, with so many players out, once those players are back, which we expect, by the end of March, most of them will be back. Like Salah should return in the next couple of weeks, I believe. I mean,
I think he was sort of touch and go for this game.
Yeah, so hopefully he'll be back for the City game. Like the belief inside the side is great, and actually the contribution of those of the younger players as well. Like I thought Jadon Danns looked great off the bench. Like these are. Yes, I can't remember who was saying it over the weekend. It's like, the likelihood is that a couple of them won't make it in this team, but the evidence so far is that they can absolutely cut it in this team.
Frankly, who cares? You can still go down as a Liverpool legend having not made it there. Like Nat Phillips a few years ago became a bit of a cult hero. Yeah. That's great, and his career probably hasn't gone as well as he hoped, but contributing to a season where Liverpool, you've already contributed to them winning a cup, which is pretty special. You'll be remembered forever
absolutely.
for that.
And then Darwin Nunez, they've got their injury problems, but Liverpool's attack is so deep that they didn't need to bring on Darwin Nunez until 60 minutes, and then he had 5 shots in this game. Like his impact off the bench has been remarkable. I can't really think of the last player who was so good off the bench for a top club in the Premier League.
He's always straight at it, isn't he?
Always straight at it. His pace is just a problem in those when you're playing against a side that's been defending for most of the game. I think Liverpool had 70% possession in this game, more or less. His goal scoring record this season is mad. Like subbed on 60 minutes, 5 shots. He's now got 17 goal involvements this season. Only 6 players have got more than him. And that's hit despite him playing less than 1,500 minutes this year. So out of every player in the Premier League to have registered 15 plus goal involvements this year, only him and Leon Bailey have played under 1,500 minutes. And obviously Leon Bailey's having a remarkable year as well. But Nunez has had maximum impact in minimal minutes. And that's not even to say, imagine if he puts away I don't know, a quarter more of the chances that he gets. It could quite easily happen. There's nothing to say that in a year or two Nunez's finishing ability starts to click a bit more. Absolutely remarkable. Also, Alexis McAllister to put that ball into the box in that moment, brilliant. 4 assists for him this year as well, and he's looked even better since. I know Endo didn't start this game, but since kind of Endo has made that 6 role his own now. McAllister has, as we were kind of saying at the start of the season, has looked even better. Playing in that more kind of natural role that he was playing at Brighton, where he had a bit more freedom. Brilliant assist from him. Liverpool go to Sparta Prague on Thursday. Imagine with a very weakened side before hosting Man City on Sunday.
Do you want to briefly talk about the sort of controversial moment in this as well?
I
was not really across this because I was travelling, but
it was. And Mike Dean.
I've seen a lot of complaints.
Mike Dean said it yesterday. It was a monumental error from Paul Tierney. Paul Tierney, who is generally not very popular with Liverpool fans, but since
was he the Liverpool Spurs referee earlier this season?
I can't remember, but generally speaking, my Liverpool supporting mates absolutely despise Paul Tierney. But actually, I think it was the game after Klopp. He took charge of the game after Klopp said he was going to leave, and that was that 4-1 against Chelsea, in which Chelsea were denied 2 very clear penalties. And then in this game, the ball comes into the box from a Nottingham Forest corner on 96 minutes. Konate sustains a head injury from clashing with Kelleher. Hudson-Odoi has possession on the left-hand side, but and then they call a drop ball because of the situation. So the ball should be given to whoever has the ball at the time, and instead it's given to Kelleher, and then 2 minutes later, obviously Liverpool score. But equally, there's so many. It was a big mistake. It was a big mistake, potentially game defining, but equally Forest should defend.
Well, Hudson-Odoi is sort of dribbling away with the ball and gets caught on the ball, which then goes back to McAllister, who then crosses.
You don't know. You don't know. But there are all these variables. I've seen Nottingham Forest fans online saying, "Well, we also should have just cleared our lines better in that final play." It certainly does not, require Marinakis coming onto the pitch at the end of the game, like that's just so unprofessional, and you know, a little bit indicative of.
I saw Van Dijk saying,
"Why is Nottingham Forest as a club
effing chairman on here?"
It's ridiculous. I mean, you know. Yeah, Nottingham Forest. You know, Marinakis' Nottingham Forest is, you know, a little bit of a circus. I know they've done well to stay in the Premier League 2 years in a row now, but well, I say that I back them to stay in the Premier League this year.
Was it 4 points?
4 points. Luton do have a game in hand, don't they? Shall we get on to Luton Villa?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun actually as a game. I mean, it felt. We basically wanted to talk about it because it felt quite massive at both ends of the table, because Luton, having come back from 2 goals down, 2 great goals from Ollie Watkins, particularly the second one when he's through, is just a really, really nice finish. I mean, is it any surprise with Watkins now? You know, the only player to contribute more goals in Europe's top 5 leagues is Harry Kane. He's ahead of Lautaro Martinez, and Lautaro Martinez is having one of the best campaigns I can really
playing
remember.
for a really, really dominant team.
Exactly, and Watkins has just been absolutely sensational. But Luton's come back through that really scrappy Chong goal, but fair enough, it all got to be scored, and then that beautiful left wing free kick from Doughty onto Morris, who's having a really quietly excellent season. Carlton Morris, actually. Alfie Doughty, I think, has been absolutely superb. If he was a left back, and no, I'm not even going to say it, but I'd love him to get some recognition.
Are you thinking
end of year awards sort of time? Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, maybe a bit far, but I was thinking potentially England.
Okay,
but I think because he's a left wing back, it's just. But I think in the best left backs for me this year have been Alfie Doughty, I think Anthony Robinson up until the last few weeks actually, and then probably Destiny Udogie as well. They've probably been the 3 outstanding left backs, and I think, or left wing backs, and Doughty's been a key member of that. I think 6 assists now. I think only Trippier and Porro have provided more assists. But as we've sort of said, Rob Edwards will be gutted to have not secured a point here, at least at a sort of Kenilworth Road that was really baying for blood. Saturday 5:30 kickoff. It felt like a really big moment. But then Luca Dean popping up with a headed goal to win it in the 89th minute as well. And the player to shout out from Aston Villa is not just Ollie Watkins. We've already touched on him, but Leon Bailey.
Yeah.
You know, the period that I've been away and the 3 weeks before that, really, basically this calendar year, I think he's been absolutely exceptional.
So good.
Brilliant. And having shown a lot of inconsistency during his times at Bayer Leverkusen, and then to be sort of in and out of the side a bit this year, but he's really sort of superseded Moussa Diaby as Villa's sort of second man, really. Although having said that, Moussa Diaby puts in the ball.
Comes on and puts in the ball, yeah.
And which is great to see, because Moussa Diaby started the season really well and has felt like he's slightly run out of steam, really. So for him to grab an assist in this felt pretty massive. But Villa, after that difficult period, 1 win in 5 around Christmas time. They've now won 3 of their last. They've now won 3 in a row, and 4 of their last 5. Villa, do you see them
sorry, go on.
I was going to say, do you see them finishing above Spurs? Do you think top 4?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, like, they're still only 8 points off Liverpool, like at the top of the table. Wow. Like it's pretty mad how they've being able to come out of what was some quite poor form.
Maybe Liverpool aren't guaranteed top 4 after all.
Run that back. No, don't run it back. But yeah, I think they've just shown that they are the real deal. They came through that poor form at Christmas, like that interview that Unai Emery gave after the 3-2 loss to Man United on Boxing Day re-emerged last week, and it's just so funny. Like it's so good. Like it's so good that response where he was just like, "Good evening," and he's like, "Yeah, what do you think went wrong today?" And he was like, "We're 4th in the table, baby." Well, basically that's what he said, and just like had a wry smile. It's like, it's true. Like Aston Villa should not be here, and yet they are comfortably one of the 5 best teams in the Premier League. And we've praised Unai Emery a lot, but we mentioned Moussa Diaby. Me and James were talking about Moussa Diaby on yesterday's Sunday Vibes, which check that out if you haven't done so already. We give a grade to every top transfer at every Premier League club this year.
Nice.
Gave ourselves a lot of work to do there, but obviously Moussa Diaby, Aston Villa's record signing, and he has dropped off since kind of October, November time, really, but Unai Emery did talk about it back in January, and he actually compared Moussa Diaby to Leon Bailey, and that Leon Bailey took a good 2 years to really adapt to the Premier League, and if it's taking Moussa Diaby like 6 months or so to do so, then that is nothing to worry about whatsoever. Yep. And it works in Villa's favour. It means that they've got a top class winger to bring off the bench if they need to, and they did need to in this game, and he puts in a great ball for Luca Dean. So yeah, I think that's not really anything to worry about. And again, we were kind of touching upon it yesterday. It's more of a sign of just how good Villa are. That someone like Moussa Diaby, has to really be on top form in order to get into that side. In Villa's Villa teams in seasons past, they had someone of Diaby's quality and he dropped off for a month, he'd still be in the team because there's no one to take his place there. So props to Villa. I think they're absolutely worthy of their place right now. And Spurs look very strong as well, but their goal difference isn't as good at this moment in time. I'm not sure whether they play each other before the end of the season or they've played each other twice already,
sure,
but we can have a look at that. I think Villa are absolutely, and in a week where Man United have dropped points again, it does look like that race for fourth spot is very much between them and Spurs.
Love it. Right, just to quickly wrap up the show, let's talk about the best storyline in Europe really this season. Bayer Leverkusen now 10 points clear, McCurbs.
Yeah.
Comfortable 2-0 win, derby win against Koln as well. 10 points clear with 10 games to go. They were slightly fortuitous in this game. I think there was a really soft red card 14 minutes in. But Frimpong and Grimaldo doing the business as they've done all season. Absolutely
linking up. I mean, Grimaldo putting the ball in to the box that leads to the Frimpong goal, then scoring himself, although, probably helped out a bit by some poor keeping there. It wasn't... This is the thing with Leverkusen.
A vintage performance.
Yeah, I think Leverkusen over the last month or 2 months have not been necessarily consistently at the level that they were before Christmas, and yet they are just getting the job done.
It was the one when I was away that they spilled the Andrik shot as well.
Yeah.
Was that Mainz, I think, as well? Yeah, didn't play particularly well in that game either.
Yeah, but they it's kind of one of those ones where it's like whoever blinks first, and Bayern Munich have blinked in a very dramatic way in the last month. And
their eyes have just stopped working entirely.
You have to give credit to Xabi Alonso for kind of coming through this period and just like remaining very focused, because it's like at this moment in time, it's just like Leverkusen just need Bayern to keep. I mean, I think they've all but sealed it now. Like 10 points clear at this stage in the season in the Bundesliga, and Bayern, continually dropping points. Obviously, doing so against Freiburg this weekend. All Leverkusen need to do is that they just have to rely on one of their stars, really performing in a game. And Grimaldo's obviously on fire, 11 goals and 11 assists. Frimpong on 10 goals and 10 assists. They're just absolutely bossing it. And in a game, where Koln actually created a few chances as well.
Hit the post.
1.5 XG to 1 in this game in Leverkusen's favour, which given that they were playing against 10 men for almost the entire match, not mightily impressive, but it's perfect for them. They can focus more on the Europa League now. They can not take their foot off the gas in the league, because God forbid do that with Bayern, just given their history. But I can't really see the Bundesliga swinging now. I think it is Leverkusen's now, and they've got the DFB Pokal and the Europa to focus on too. So
they've got a good draw in the Europa.
It's great stuff. And especially now, maybe there's like almost a bit less pressure now that they're with these reports that Xabi Alonso looks likely to leave. There being apparently being a kind of verbal agreement that if the right offer comes in, that Leverkusen will allow him to go. In some ways that feels like there's a little bit less pressure. Maybe there'll just be a little bit less speculation actually now about will he, won't he. It's just like they can kind of just get on with their job.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw a report, thinking of German football as well, that Tuchel could be fired. I mean, I know he's already leaving, but he could actually be sacked if they lose against Lazio tomorrow night in the Champions League, which would be a crazy turnaround, given how well they were playing, really, up until basically a month ago.
Yeah.
Absolutely remarkable. But Bayer Leverkusen, come on, get over the line. It would be epic. Guys, thank you so much for watching Monday Vibes for this week. It was great to be back in the hot seat with Michael McCubbin. Suddenly turned Dutch there for a second. If you guys enjoyed this, as Mikey says, go check out yesterday's Sunday Vibes and check out our Snapchat content, which will be dropping this week as usual. Bye-bye.